right, welcome back to another episode of Basement Birds. Logan and Reid. How we doing, Reid?
Oh, doing fantastic. We're back.
We're back. Another episode. Back. We got a lot to talk about today, so I think we're going to jump right into it.
Jump right in.
Jump right in. So, as we've talked about a few different times on the show before, I used to work in radio. I worked there for about a little over a year. And I loved every minute of it, and it was a lot of fun. The reason I bring it up again is because Nicole, my longtime girlfriend, has won
former guest of the podcast
and previous, not former guest, previous guest of the podcast.
Yeah, that's good word. Good word. Yeah, that's on me.
She won a radio contest, and I thought,
oh, wow,
it might be kind of fun to go kind of behind the scenes to what happens when you win a radio contest, because that's the department that I was in. I was in prizing and promotions.
Okay, the good stuff.
At three of the biggest radio stations in the city of Chicago. So we gave away a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
As you can imagine, a lot of stuff. So anything from, hats to T-shirts to concert tickets to vacation getaways, we gave it away. And I wanted to give a little behind the scenes to that. So there's a couple different ways you can win from a giveaway. Nicole won through a social giveaway on Instagram that I sent to her, and I said, please fill this out. You might win. It was for Impractical Jokers tickets at the Chicago Theater. That's
great.
Yeah, so she's a big Impractical Jokers fan. It always has been.
Who isn't?
Well, right, and that was one of the things we did together when we first started dating was watch Impractical Jokers.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, hey, I just, you enter your name or whatever onto a little online survey. It was on their Instagram story, and Nicole's like, oh, I never win. Or I'm not doing this. I know I'm never going to win.
Yeah.
And then I reminded her, because I have some insider knowledge, that someone. This may come as a surprise, but someone has to win.
The way that you prefaced that made it seem like you were rigging it to make sure that Nicole won.
No. That's not at all what was happening.
Okay.
But, yeah. Do you want to come say hello to Reid?
Oh, is this the big winner right here? Wow. Oh, my gosh. Look at that.
Hi,
Hello. Congratulations.
So you can't hear. Ooh, you got to hear. Put that in your right ear.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, hello, Nicole.
Can you hear?
Hello, Reid.
Congratulations on the big win, I hear.
Thank you.
Logan's going to give us all the inside scoop about how he rigged the contest so you could win it.
Is that what it was?
What do you mean, is that what it was? It was a contest? What? What is that what it was? Yes, it was. What are you talking about?
You rigged it?
No, I didn't rig it. What are you talking? Dude.
That's what Reid said, and I just...
All right, I think it's time for you to go back upstairs.
Okay. Well, bye, Reid.
Goodbye.
Have a good night.
You too. Oh,
anyway.
That could not have gone better.
Anyway, she won Impractical Joker tickets, and she's celebrating over in the corner now. Even though she wasn't even originally going to enter the giveaway, but it doesn't matter because she won. So she got an email today that very much looks like a spam email. And it basically says, you won. And so then you got to fill out some stuff. They do it a little different at this radio station. This was through B96, which it was not one of the radio stations that I was at, but
the B.
They do it a little different where they just had like an online platform where you just like fill out a couple of forms. But we had we had to get a couple different things. We had to get a photo of their driver's license front and back. Then we had to get an affidavit signed, and then
an
we had
affidavit
to
exactly.
It's basically like we give you the prize. And, if something happens, it's not on us. We just give you the prize, or essentially, right?
Oh, okay. So it's like you guys turn over responsibility once the prize is, switched over, essentially.
Right. And so...
Okay.
And then a W-9 form. So in case you didn't know, if you win more than $600 worth of prizes from a specific radio station in a year, you have to pay taxes on
It's
it.
taxable, yeah.
Right? So,
600
you had to get a
also.
W-9 form.
Fun fact: 600 also the amount of income of freelance work that you have to report once you hit that threshold.
Right. And so, I lost my train of thought. Oh, so the W-9 form really freaked people out because it has you have to put your social security number on it.
Sure.
And that really freaked a lot of people out, especially some of the older crowd.
Yeah.
So because essentially, you would enter, a lot of it was you write your name on a piece of paper and a phone number, and then we call you and you say you won. I mean, this is like the most scammy sounding thing ever. I mean, but that's just how it was.
Yeah.
And so we would email the forms, they would fill them out, send them back, and then you get your prize. And so that's what Nicole would do. But I think the common misconception is that, I'm not going to enter because I'm not going to win. Well,
Yeah.
as I told Nicole,
Someone's got to win.
somebody has to win.
Yeah, that's
Right.
fair. That's fair.
And so, working there, I found out that a lot of the same people would win the prizes week after week. And the reason for
okay.
that was because they just entered every single contest.
Okay, that's fair.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, if we're not as many people listen to radio as it once were, right?
Sure,
I mean,
sure.
we can all kind of commonly agree on that subject. But, all you got to do is enter. And, even Nicole's uncle wins a lot of concert tickets and stuff. I mean, some of the bigger prizes, like for a while they were giving away Taylor Swift tickets.
Oh,
and
okay.
Those tickets are given to the radio station from the concert promoter.
Okay,
so,
sure.
like the venue, and they have contact people at the venue who will give them away. Because essentially it's free promotion, right?
Yeah,
Or not free,
yeah.
you're giving away the tickets. But they're talking about the concert, they're doing all this stuff, and they're giving away the tickets.
Yeah.
And it kind of benefits both sides. So,
Absolutely.
it gets more people to listen, it gets people to call in, and then they get to go to a concert essentially from, a certain radio station. So,
Yeah.
it was good though, and as we've talked about before on the previous show, that we definitely had a fair share of crazy people who would call in.
I can imagine.
And try and win. As one of our former professors says, radio attracts the crazy people for some
It
reason.
does. Absolutely.
And that, holds pretty true to the prizing and promotions department.
Yeah.
So, at the end of the day, the lesson is enter every single
giveaway.
contest.
Yeah,
Right?
absolutely.
I mean, we wouldn't send out promotional emails. I mean, I know that's a fear of some people, the radio stations that I worked for. This one was a little different because you had to fill it out online, so I assume that there'll be some sort of promotional email. Even though I checked no, it's technically illegal if they send you promotional emails, so they probably won't. But, one of, actually from this radio station, one of the on-air DJs moved over to this station, so one of
Okay.
the people that I know works for this radio station. So
Nice.
maybe I'll have to post on Instagram story and tag him and say, "Thanks, Dash, for the tickets."
Yeah.
But
That's funny
he
though.
actually-
Your
go ahead.
story about or your advice about entering every giveaway reminds me. We do a 50-50 drawing every game.
Yeah.
So half of it, obviously, you get half. The other half goes to our charity. There is a season ticket holder. I think it's a season ticket holder or a fan who consistently wins the 50-50. And his strategy on winning the 50-50 is simply just buying a decent amount more tickets than anyone else. So, obviously, the more you put in, the higher chance of winning. So that's just a strategy. I think he won 50-50 at like 20 games last season or something.
Wow.
And like we had like an event that we hosted at the ballpark that we sold 50-50 for. He won that too. Like we pulled the number and we're like, who's it going to be? And he comes walking up and we're like, of course it is.
And yeah, I mean, someone's got to win, and
Exactly.
you get a lot of people that enter those. Like, what is the pot?
On a good night, we could give away. I don't know. We have like $1,500 to $2,500 that we've given away. I think
$15?
no, 1,500.
Oh, okay.
15 to
I
2,500.
mean, that's pretty good.
I think our max last year we had a game that broke our attendance record, so there was about 10,000 people there, and we had about I think the total that someone won was like $4,200 or something that night. So it was a not insignificant amount of money from a AA baseball 50-50 drawing. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So-
I'm just used to the college that we went to. They'd sell, and it'd be like grand prize $80, and you're like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah. No,
okay.
you can like even like on the low ends, we're given like winners getting maybe $750 or something, which obviously is still a lot better than nothing.
Yeah.
So you might as well try. Yeah, here's our winning amounts from the season so far. We had 2,300 opening night, 702 the second night. That was a little bit of obviously a lower attended game, but then we went back up to 2,000 and then 1,400 this past Sunday. So not bad totals,
No, not at all. I mean, especially like you said, AA baseball. I can't
Yeah.
imagine you're really bursting at the seams with attendance, like you said. So
Yeah, I mean, most of those games we announce, 35 to 4,500 people. So considering that, it's not a bad total at all. And regardless of how much it is in 50-50, it's more money than you had before. So
you're not wrong.
You can't complain.
But speaking of lowly attended sporting events,
What
how about that segue to
oh, good Lord.
to one of our other friends in the other sports world of the NHL.
Yeah.
There's some big news out of the NHL
Yes.
for a certain animal-based team out of the Arizona desert.
Out of the
Reid.
Arizona desert, yes. The Arizona Coyotes are. It hasn't been confirmed by anyone, but there has been rumor after rumor and report. No, I should say rumors have now turned into reports that they are relocating to Salt Lake City, and we could have an announcement as early as Thursday or Friday this week. So by the time this episode is out, we could have news officially that the Coyotes are relocating to Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
Which is crazy
And-
because it was only a week ago where the team put out renderings of a new arena that they wanted to build.
Yeah.
Without funding for the arena, they were still trying to secure funding. But they put out these renderings, and now it has turned into, rumors that, a couple of nights ago the team was informed that they were relocating and were told that they'd have the opportunity to go to Salt Lake City to view facilities after their last game on Wednesday. So it has gone from 0 to 100 real fast. And I know, like, personally for me, like, I roughly remember when the Thrashers left Atlanta to go to Winnipeg and hearing
Right.
about that, but that was obviously, I don't know, how long ago was that at this point?
That was a long time ago.
It
that
feels...
that was pre 2010, I think.
Yeah, like, it feels very...
06, maybe, I want to say.
I don't know if it was that. They left in 2011.
Oh.
The Jets moved to Winnipeg, or the Jets became a thing in 2011. But even like that, like, I was 12 at the time, so I don't really have, like, I just remember hearing about a team moving. I don't remember any of the, kind of more, like, reporting and stuff that went around it. So seeing this play out in real time is really interesting, because there's all ton of reports. Supposedly, the sources are saying that the NHL will essentially buy the team for... let's see. They'll buy the team for $1 billion from the current Coyotes owner, and then we'll turn around and facilitate a sale to the owner of the Utah Jazz for around $1.2 billion, and they will split the pretty much profit amongst the 31 other teams as like a relocation fee paid by the new owners to get them to Utah. But then it's interesting too. This is where it gets interesting. They're doing this so the Coyotes' current owner will retain the Coyotes' name, uniforms, logo set, things like that. And
Oh,
they will,
so they're going to go through a total rebrand then.
correct. So they'll need a total rebrand because this is interesting.
Oh.
The NHL will reportedly give him a 5-year period to secure funding and an arena. And from there, they will have the decision to bring a team back to Arizona as another expansion team.
Oh. So they're
Yeah.
going to move. They're going to move the. Yeah, I see. I see.
It's
what
pretty
you're
much
saying.
like the league has had enough of the Coyotes struggling in Arizona. So they are moving essentially the players and the hockey personnel and everyone to Utah, but they're maintaining pretty much everything else about the team, name, image, like intellectual property, things like that, with the current owner of the team.
I see.
Which is very interesting. Which brings me to the point which I thought of. There was a whole situation in the NBA back in the 2000s when the Charlotte, if I get this right, the Charlotte Hornets relocated to New Orleans to become the New Orleans Hornets, and they have since rebranded to the New Orleans Pelicans. 2 years after Charlotte lost their team, they got granted expansion in the form of the Charlotte Bobcats, who have since rebranded back to the Charlotte Hornets. And what the NBA has done now with these two franchises is the Hornets, instead of being considered an expansion team that started play, and I think it's 2004 when this new iteration started, they're considered a franchise that suspended operations between 2002 and 2004 because the current Hornets now have the history of the old Hornets. Okay, this is confusing, but I'll explain where I'm getting to. And they classify the Pelicans as an expansion team that began play in 2002 compared to a relocation. So that begs the question, if and when the Coyotes move to Utah, will the Winnipeg Jets try to regain the history of the first iteration of the Jets, which became the Coyotes, and become this franchise that had two iterations with, suspending operations between them, and then, I guess, retroactively treating the Coyotes as an expansion team that then relocated? It can get real confusing real quick, but that's
wow.
Yeah. Because that was the first thing I thought.
That was a lot.
Because I'm pretty sure there was something like this in the NBA that happened with the whole Charlotte-New Orleans situation, and kind of like rewriting the history of these franchises, reclassifying teams as expansion to relocation to, you know, franchises essentially that took a break, Yeah. So I'm curious to see what will happen too, because there's that whole situation. Because Jets fans have been wanting to get the history of the original Jets, back to Winnipeg essentially for probably as long as the second iteration of the Jets has been around.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm very curious to see what happens there.
Well, let's back up a second here, because I was just confused. Well, I was confused at a lot of what you just said, but the fact that the team. So, for those of you unfamiliar with the situation, the team officially put out renderings for a stadium in Phoenix, Arizona. So right now they're in Scottsdale, right, at ASU.
Yes.
They were at the Gala Arena, which is also right in Scottsdale, I believe.
What?
The Gala Arena, Gala. That was the arena they were at.
Gila River Arena?
Sure. Gala River Arena.
Let's say it
before
right.
they moved to Mullet Arena.
Yeah.
And then, after they put out these renderings, then they basically had to walk it back and be like, actually, this isn't what's happening. And so, right there, I mean, that is in my book, that is a huge blunder in the marketing run. It should not happen.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That is just ridiculous. You don't. If you are a professional sports team who, I mean, clearly the Coyotes have been having their fair share of issues, right? I mean, we can all understand that.
Mm-hmm.
But to put out that you have plans to move to an arena that's not 100% locked down, and then
that you don't even
literally
have funding
change
for
it within a week.
Yeah.
I mean, it was okay. Then that's when you leak it to somebody, and then then you can do that and say, well, nothing's confirmed yet. Then you do that. But if you want to get it out, you can't do that. That is not cool. That is not how you operate a sports
went
team.
out without funding. I mean, the fact of the matter, though, is that the Yotes have been putting out renderings of arenas since 2016. If not before. You can search Coyotes arena renderings, and you'll see articles back to, I found one in 2016 where they said, this is the new arenas. That arena never got built.
Well, because
that arena does not exist, and I don't know what those renderings are. They're rotting in a virtual graveyard somewhere.
it's clear that Arizona doesn't want them.
Well,
and
I think
they can't secure the city doesn't want to build them an arena.
I don't
The
think
city doesn't want them.
I think the city wants a team, but they do not want it under the current ownership that it has. I think that is the issue. The issue is the ownership. You know, like I've seen stuff online from Coyotes fans and things like that. How like a team under good ownership would work there. You know, and it would be successful, but they just have never really had solid ownership. And the crazy thing too is when you look at, you know, their social media and stuff. The Coyotes played a game yesterday, April 14th. Okay, they have last tweeted out on the 13th. There has been no interaction from the team on their social media channels since the 13th. They have missed a whole game. No starting lineups, no starting goaltender matchup, no final score graphic for anything for that game. The last thing they put out was a statement from their owner, you know, saying essentially, you know, they're focused on a myriad of issues that are unresolved, and therefore we are unable to make any official public comments at this time. However, you have my commitment that I'm going to speak on all these issues and publicly address all of your concerns as promptly as possible. And now all the stuff comes out that we could have a relocation announcement as early as Thursday, which is crazy.
I think after the blunder of the first one, I think they're really going to want to be sure what the heck is they're doing before they're coming out and they're going to say, well, now we're going to Utah.
Yeah.
And then not go to Utah. I mean, this is absurd.
Yeah,
business practices by this team.
I should reiterate the main team account has not posted since, what was that? 3 days ago at this point. Since the 13th, so 2 days ago. Their PR page has put out 2 tweets. One was, you know, in preparation of their game yesterday, their game previews, which is basically your game your abbreviated game notes, and then a roster update about assigning a guy to Tucson. You know. And one other crazy rumor that I saw that I don't know, you know, where this has gone is that Utah could retain their AHL affiliate, the Tucson Roadrunners, but they could be relocated to Tempe to play out of Mullet Arena, which would be even wilder, you know.
It's mind blowing to me. And I mean, if you're the Coyotes, that's an embarrassment to play in that arena. I mean, if we're going to be honest with ourselves, they're playing in an arena built for a college team. That's an embarrassment.
Which
that is a local
on the college level
community ice rink.
When you look at the college level, Mullet Arena is a fantastic venue for a university
for
to
a
play.
College.
But the problem is when you put an NHL team in there, that's where the problems arise, obviously. You know, because it is not an NHL level venue.
They can't even sell that place out, though.
Correct.
Like Nicole's brother goes to ASU, and he was like going to games for $30.
Yeah.
They can't even sell that. I mean, that's embarrassing.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's what you get when you put hockey in the middle of the desert, but come on.
But, I mean, on the flip side of that, you know, Vegas is a team in the desert as well, you know, and, you know, the Phoenix area has a population much greater than the Vegas area, and it worked there, and I think that's, you know, at the hands of competent ownership.
Yeah, well,
you know,
you saw what Vegas showed up on the scene and totally blew up what everyone expected from a NHL team.
Correct.
They took the typical stereotypical things and just did exactly the opposite.
Yeah.
And it's great. Don't get me wrong. Everybody loves it. They've, rewritten the rules on how an NHL team should operate. But it's because it's Vegas, and that works in Vegas.
Yeah.
And the fact that the ownership is behind it, and they put so much effort into the experience. I mean, you see the Kraken. The Kraken are newer now than the Golden Knights.
Yeah.
But don't have nearly the amount of popularity and or fandom that the Knights had when they came. Granted, it was the first expansion team in quite some time.
Quite some time, yep.
But still,
sports teams just they live and die by ownership at the end of the day. You know, you can have the greatest performing team on the field, but if you have bad ownership, like it's going to not work, you know, because you need a committed owner.
Yeah.
We saw that recently with the Baltimore Orioles. They recently got sold to a new group, and their old ownership, like they were saying, like, oh, like we aren't sure if we're going to keep this core of young players together. And the Orioles, they're a solid team, and like to not have that core together because of ownership, like would have sucked for them, And I think what people forget about Phoenix too is that the Phoenix, like Phoenix as a city, is the 5th largest in the country. So there was no shortage of people there. You have no shortage of people.
I guess I didn't even realize that.
Exactly. A lot of people don't realize that. 5th most populous city in the country. You have no shortage of people there. But I think what sunk them was having arenas for too long of their history that were too far from the main city center, and having ownership that just couldn't get stuff done when they needed to.
That was terrible.
And now you have an owner who, it was only a couple months ago that the owner of the Jazz was coming back and was coming out and pretty much putting out a written letter on behalf of him to the league saying, like, hey, we want hockey to come to Salt Lake City. Someone that knows how to run a, franchise. That's a franchise who, granted a while ago has gone through a relocation, with the Jazz relocating. And that has the possibility to do it. It sounds like their arena would need some upgrades to be done to get it NHL ready or more adapt to hosting hockey. Yeah, in terms of adjusting sight lines and things like that. But within a couple seasons, it would be there.
Right. So I don't know. It's a lot, obviously, and it's a developing situation. So hopefully. By next week, we can have a little bit of an
update on it. Yeah, I have been like glued to this situation because I find it so interesting, this whole process that is happening. Because I just can't remember a time that we've experienced something like this in terms of a team relocating in I guess our lifetime that has been as connected to it as it is now. So
right.
That is really cool in my eyes.
Well, we got to move on. Unfortunately, I'd love to sit here and talk about this all day, but
yeah, I feel like we could have gone on forever about that, but that's okay.
Maybe next week we'll have a part 2.
Hopefully, yeah.
So we got odd news before we head out for the day, and I found a different kind of news one. I happen to be looking at my very reliable source of news, Facebook.
Oh, okay.
And because that's where I get the majority of my news at. But to be fair, I follow WGN. World's greatest newspaper, Channel 9 in Chicago, one of the best, most prestigious news organizations, and they post quality, informative news stories like Volvo Island. Are you ready for this? Volvo Island? The mystery of a car stranded on a tiny private oasis in Illinois. So this is from LaSalle County in Illinois. It's a phenomenon known to Google Maps as Volvo Island. Look it up. You can look it up on Google Maps right now. Type in VOLVO Island.
I know
Island.
how to spell Volvo, but okay.
Oh my
and
gosh,
as you
this
do
is
that,
in
Ottawa.
Yes, and I'm going to give you some more information about it as you look at it. The island emerges from a private man-made lake that's on the edge of Ottawa, Illinois, more specifically near the intersection of Illinois Route 71 and U.S. Highway 6. This is 80 miles southwest of Chicago. So
this
Google
photo
Photos
is
shows
hilarious.
the clearest photos you'll find of an abandoned Volvo car, and it's on a tiny island in the middle of a lake. So
can you even consider that an island? That looks like a pile of rocks that somehow hasn't drifted away.
It's it's a patch of land in the middle of a lake.
Oh my gosh, that's
incredible!
I love it.
Why it's there, nobody seems to know.
Oh my gosh!
But nobody seems to understand why. There's a timeline on the WGN's website that I'm looking at right now.
Yeah.
And it looks like this was originally reported by Fox 2.
Okay.
But so what you got to anybody, please, if you're driving, finish driving and then type in Volvo Island in Google Maps, which is the only appropriate maps to use, not Apple Maps. If you're an Apple Maps user, get out of here. Or a Waze user, also get out of here. Google Maps is the way to go. Type in Volvo Island. It's in Ottawa, Illinois, and I think I might have to take a field trip there.
Yeah, wow, this is really interesting.
So, that
this is okay. Here's
that's local.
I think I'm finding some info on how this thing got out here.
Yeah,
There's
I
a
mean,
guy-
there is a whole timeline.
Yeah, there's this guy who owns a car repair shop who had this idea of putting it out there, have a contest to see if the public could guess of how to get it out. But it looks like, yeah. So this river area, if you even want to call it a river, it's not very large. Is an abandoned
lake.
It's an old abandoned mine.
Yeah.
So it is surprisingly deep. They say it's 38 feet deep. The water. Yeah.
What?
'Cause
38
was-
feet.
Yeah, it was a strip mine.
Wow.
The car
That's
was towed out, and they
crazy.
used a big excavator to dig the dirt away from the car to make it look like an island. Oh my gosh!
That's so random. And so, how long? Do we know how long it's been there? I mean, it's a 2001
This sounds
Volvo
like
S80.
this is dating it at January of 2012.
This says at least 10 years. It's been in its current spot for at least 10 years. And
Yeah.
it's unclear whether plans may materialize to move it and or use it again. So,
That's
if you're
incredible.
ever in Ottawa, Illinois,
yeah.
check out Volvo Island.
You
And
know what
next
that
time I'm
thing-
out in Ottawa,
The funny thing too with that thing being a Volvo is that it probably would still run today if you put some gas in it.
well, yeah, I don't know. I've
Speaking
never
of-
driven a Volvo.
One, you mentioned WGN, and
Yes.
I want to ask you about this quick. This is something I just remembered. I listened to a podcast about it. Are you aware of the Max Headroom incident?
Yes.
Yes.
We've talked about this before.
We've
I
talked
believe.
about it, but I think we should talk about it on air sometime because I find it very interesting.
Yeah, maybe that'll be a next week episode. We can do a deep dive into the Max Headroom
Yeah,
incident.
Arizona
So
Coyotes
we've
updates
already know
and
what
the
we're
Max,
talking about next week.
and the Max Headroom incident. I listened to a podcast about it I don't know, probably a year and a half ago, and I was so like confused by it.
Befuddled.
Yes, befuddled.
Befuddled.
Great word. Speaking of, well, I'm not really befuddled by my weird news story, but this headline reads: "Man balances running lawnmower on his chin for 9 minutes and 17 seconds."
Okay,
Okay.
hold the phone.
Yep.
Run like push mower.
Yes, push mower. Yeah.
Was the blade side down or was the blade side up?
He was balancing on like the handle. So like the hand, like it was. Like,
Oh, so
straight up.
blade side up.
I
Okay.
guess that would be blade side up then. Yeah. This is
Yeah,
a
because
guy.
that sounds dangerous. Like if you mow your face.
Yeah. This is a guy from Idaho. His name is David Rush, and he's on a quest to hold.
That's the hold of the potato.
It is, yes. He is on a quest to
Alright.
hold the most concurrent Guinness World Record titles. This says that he
Oh.
previously attempted this record 4 years ago, but his time of 3 minutes and 52 seconds was disqualified because the lawnmower didn't have a bag on it to catch leaves and stuff.
Oh.
So
boo.
he was disqualified. Okay.
Boo.
So in the meantime, though, the record
Boo.
increased to 7 minutes and 2 seconds by someone who
Oh.
was also trying to break a lot of records.
That's such a random record.
Yeah, so
to break.
good old David set his goal at 10 minutes, but ended up doing it in 9 minutes and 17 seconds, a little bit short of his goal, and it brings his total of concurrent records up to 165.
Stop.
The current record holder,
165?
yes, the current record holder of records holds 180 titles.
Wow.
Yeah.
180 records. It
Yeah.
must not be that hard to break them then. If we got average Joe over here breaking 180
Yeah,
records.
there's always like the random ones, like you had that peanut butter one, that you talked about a couple weeks back, like most peanut butter eaten in a certain amount of time,
Well, yeah, dude. I mean,
Oh,
you're sucking peanut butter.
You know what? I just thought about this. I have a slight update to the peanut butter story. My dad listened to that podcast, and he went out and bought his own 4-pound jar of peanut butter. He sent me a photo of it the one day, and he says, "You
Yes.
inspired me to get more peanut
Yes.
butter."
Dude.
So if
Yeah.
anyone says that what
Can we
we
get
do doesn't matter here, I would beg to differ.
Well, and as long as it has to do with peanut butter, dude, because
Exactly, yeah.
I love me some peanut butter. A
As do I.
4-pound jar of peanut. Who is that made by? Can we get sponsored, please?
I think it was once again a store-bought brand or like a store brand of peanut butter.
It was generic
Like,
brand.
Generic brand of peanut butter. Yes.
Somehow we always end up
Yep.
talking about peanut
This
butter,
was-
dude.
this
I
was
don't know. We
the-
should just
This was the
rebrand
generic
again to
Kroger
the peanut butter
brand.
show. Kroger. You go to Kroger?
My parents do.
Oh, I've never been to Kroger.
Yeah, we don't have it
No
out here. but my
Kroger, no
parents do.
Kroger in Illinois. So that's
If you go far enough south, you do.
well, yeah, but okay. So yeah, I don't know. I haven't gotten my big jar of peanut butter yet. But
Well, gotta look, you know.
wait, before we leave? Is it smooth or chunky? Because
Smooth.
I'm a
You
big
can only
chunky
get
peanut
4
butter.
pounds smooth. So you're just wrong. Smooth is so much better
know.
than chunky. Oh my gosh.
I'm not buying it, dude.
Agree to
I'm
disagree.
not buying it. Peanut butter review on Basement Birds. Birds are attracted to peanut butter, so
Yeah.
I guess that kind of works out.
That's true, yeah.
I had to get rid of all the peanut butter in my basement to get rid of all the birds. In fact, that's why they kept coming down here. They wanted to eat all my peanut butter. But on that note, we've got
man.
just about out of time here. So
Yeah. A little bit of a long
on the
episode, but that's okay.
Well, not as long as it probably will be by the time we're done with this. But this has been Basement Birds. Thank you so much for listening.
Yeah.
We're on all sorts of
You can do
social media platforms. If I
There we
can
go.
speak clearly, Reid will tell you about those right now.
Yeah, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Basement Birds. Nice and easy.
Wow.
Boom.
Wow.
Check
we
us
should
out.
we should get a temporary tattoo and just wear it
God.
on our forehead.
We could
That
sell
sound like a good idea?
We should sell ad space on our forehead. You know, just like
We should. You know what?
Pepsi.
That's actually not a. That's not. That's not a bad idea. So if anyone wants to sponsor our forehead, I'd be up for that. I'd wear a temporary tattoo with your company's logo on it.
If you pay us enough, we'll make it permanent. No, just kidding.
Well, let's not. You know, a couple $100 million.
I would say,
Then
what
what
would the
else-
number need to be for you? Oh my gosh.
Probably enough so I would never have to work again. That's
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah.
That's the number. So.
Or if like it has some really good incentives as well, like if it's the peanut butter company and they give me a lifetime of peanut butter, I could probably just do it for a couple grand.
You should just get a giant peanut tattoo, like a.
Mr. Peanut.
like the
just-
shell and all,
Yeah.
or even better, Goofy Goober. You can be a Goofy Goober tattoo on your forehead.
Absolutely not.
That's a SpongeBob reference for all those SpongeBob.
Gosh.
We're off the rails. It's time
Yep.
to go. We'll catch you on the next one.
See ya.